I don't really have a story I want to talk about today. I'm not in that good mindset. I'm a little stressed from school stuff. So I'm going to talk about ideas and how ideas generate. This also is like a kind of how to generate ideas video in a way, if the way I do it helps you. Basically, a lot of the ideas are from what if scenarios. So what ifs are like, a very common one is like, what if Hitler won World War II? I think that's been done many, many times. In Merlin, what if Merlin was young when he met Arthur? I love that show so much. So like, what if scenarios, or like, a lot of stories can be broken down to what ifs. It doesn't mean that's how the creator came up with it. Some creators have like a theme in mind and like a message they want to get across, like, or just like not even like with an ending statement particularly, like want to dramatize things. Like, what was that movie with the AI where it was like it ended in a tragedy? It was kind of recent. It was a good movie, but it was very sad. But the point that they were trying to make worked. And that's like part of it is like if you have points that you want to make. So if we do take some of my stories, for example, like 24 and Never Dated is kind of like it's okay to be who you are no matter what, and that you're not a burden even with all your problems, especially if they're problems you're not in control of. And also just like, as I've said before, that one's more of like a therapy story for me, and that's kind of the point. And that's where the idea came from, because I am an author, and at the time I was thinking that I would never date, that I wouldn't date until I'm at least 24 or older. Because that's just kind of the way life was going when I first started the story. And then I thought, oh, it could be funny, it could be kind of like a comedy, like this could be really fun. And it just kind of branched into a bit more than that, where, yeah, it's a rom-com, but even rom-com is like, it's more like a rom-dram comedy. That makes sense. So like, a bit of like, obviously like drama, the comedic aspect, the romance, which is kind of just how dramas work these days, because everything has comedy anyway. Besides the point, coming up with the idea for that one was literally just like, okay, yeah, that's a good number. Like, I could have made it older, but I was like, this works. And she's a romance author, successful, so now it's ironic. So that one was more of like a character that I came up with first. Sometimes a lot of times creators come up with characters first and people. It's just the easiest way, because stories are, like, the way we connect with stories is through people and through the characters. So that is the easiest way, is coming up with a character, giving them like some traits and some things about them, and then like their arc is going to tell you what you need to happen in the plot of the story. Now sometimes the story or like your ideas might be plot heavy. In my sci-fi series, the plot kind of came first, because I was figuring out like what things I needed to happen. I Hate Heroes was created separate from the sci-fi story first, and wasn't originally going to be included as part of it. So it doesn't really count, because that one did start off of it, kind of the plot and no, it was the characters. Characters all came first, and then I figured out how to put them in a plot. So that one's a little bit besides the point of my other ones, where they were more plot-centric, and then I had to figure out how the characters fit in it. And then I found out that characters from other stories that I made kind of worked there as well. I knew that I wanted there to be a galactic war. I knew that there was going to be, that's kind of what it was. Like, the point is to show the way, Gundam does pretty well. Gundam Wing, Iron Blooded Orphans, like, oh, those are some heavy animes that, even though like a lot of the draws, the mechas, that man, does it hit you hard. So that's a good one for that. I haven't talked much about my sci-fi story yet, so you don't really have context that you can go draw upon. But even then, I suppose the characters started forming, because you need people to have the plot happen. And so I was just kind of like, this needs to happen. Okay, I need a character that is going to save everything. All right. Oh, actually, my terrible first draft of All But Ordinary can be reworked. Actually, it was the second draft. Can be reworked into this. I think I need to get over her. Question mark. But that's where I was like, okay, yeah, all right, and she can save everything. This works really well, actually. So did that, and just kind of found, how do I word this? I don't script these. This is literally me word vomiting. Obviously, I do a lot of stuff. Trying to think. My brain isn't braining today, guys. It's not braining. Right. So then I figured out how to create the characters around it. So actually, All But Ordinary, which I believe I talked about before already, that one worked perfectly to turn into Galactic War 1. Somehow it worked out super well. I'm really surprised because, well, one, Rain felt really, well, she's Reina in All But Ordinary, but she's Rain in it felt more her when I kept changing things, because originally it is Raina, but I felt like for her character Rayne worked really well. So in Galactic War 1, that Rain was originally Reina, but honestly she's become such a different character, they're practically like not the same. She went through a few iterations in this world where she was more similar to Reina, but really I found I needed her to be the catalyst for Galactic War 1 and Eris's reason to get sucked into that, because leading up, Eris was originally isolated and alone in the galaxy. It's the Earth of that universe, basically. So originally isolated and alone, and they were working on space travel. And currently on their planet, they are having a world war, fighting each other. So the outside threat brings them together. Super cliche, of course, but originally, space travel was something that this secret part of society was working on. Hence, like, the whole underground bunkers and stuff, they are still getting made in this one, but then they're more being used for safe housing for nuclear fallout, and then eventually when they find out that they're not alone in the universe, they start building it to protect themselves against outside unknown threats, because they are like, if we go underground, we can't be found. Right? And so, yeah, that's like a plot reason. And then I was like, oh, you know what works for this? You know what really works? Rain, because she can end the Galactic War. Now that's like a whole thing, but figuring out how characters can fit the plot while still staying in character. You might have to tweak things along the way just because characters learn and grow and you learn more about them. It's really interesting how when creating characters, how real they can get. It's a very interesting thing. So a lot of the ideas other. And so, building a plot line, you end up finding characters that fit the roles that you need them for, or you create characters that fit the roles that you need them for, which is where sometimes some characters will feel very flat instead of round because they're literally there as a plot device. What you can do if you're clever or need them to be a more rounded character, because honestly flat characters do serve a purpose and not every character needs to be round, so you can work with that as well. But if you want to, you can create round characters even if all you did at first was create them to serve the plot. Like I Hate Heroes, for example. I literally was just like, I need a hero type character. I created Hero because of that. He had no backstory or anything, and I was like, I don't know. And I picked, and at first he was a very, very flat character when I was first writing him. And then I was like, actually, he's got way more depth here, and he became a more rounded character because I created him to fit the archetype. And it's just like, you come up with that initial idea, and then it just keeps coming and coming. I find that a lot of my ideas that I come up with are based off of real events, but obviously I'm mostly a sci-fi writer, so I am inspired by other things I've seen. Everything's recycled, things are reused all the time, and it's just honestly, the same story told by a different person is still interesting. It's very interesting to see, even like, okay, so Justice League is a good example of this because there's two versions. Obviously one is way longer than the other, but that's a director's choice. So really, it's just a concept of how you tell it, and everyone's going to tell something different. So even the way I'm telling this, I've heard this reiterated across so many YouTube channels about creating ideas, creating characters, creating this, creating that, and I love hearing all the different ways, but honestly, so much of it is the same. A lot of people say it, they're literally saying the same message, but it's just coming out of their mouth, and the way they say it is so different. So even if, say, I were to do Star Wars, I would tell it differently than George Lucas did. Even like if you look at the sequels, okay, like they had different directors, and obviously I don't think the story was going to be the same at all, but like imagine it was, I think it would have come across way differently. There's also like styles, like some people are going to put in a lot of explosions even if it doesn't make sense, and some people don't care about that at all, so there's not going to be any, even if maybe there should have been in that action sequence. I don't know. Same thing with blood and gore. Like it's almost like what you focus on is going to be different than what other people focus on. So even if some of the ideas are the same, then it would be different, and it would be still your own idea take on the story. Ooh. Whoa, buddy, that was close. That was crazy. Sorry, someone just like right in front. But yeah, ideas are weird, and a lot of ideas can happen when you're just sitting out on your trampoline listening to nature sounds, and you're like, imagine if that was gone. What if it were gone? That was all ordinary. So it's just like imagining how things could be different and then extrapolating on that. And then if you decide to put it in a different setting, like a time period piece or fantasy setting, whole new sci-fi realm, like then even if you took like a slice of life story that happens and nowadays is contemporary, and you took almost the exact same idea, put it in fantasy, you'll then find that there's other things you have to change and things that you decide you don't like and want to change, and then it's a whole new story. Crazy. I mean, I'm doing that with Power Struck. Power Struck is a conglomeration of Keeper of the Lost Cities, Percy Jackson, Harry Potter. So but it's still its own unique thing. It just has some similarities. So yeah, do with that what you will. That is my take on ideas and creation and ideation. I think that's a correct word. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that rainy weather, tired errand brain rant